Thanks.
Excellent. Hey, thank you for the introduction, Phil. Much appreciated. Thanks again for having me here on this webinar series. It's great having the opportunity to reach out and really, showing our partnership here. One thing I did want to touch on, again, if you guys do have any questions, like Glenn said, please just use that QA function or just go ahead and type it into the chat. So one thing to think about today, guys. So when recommending a company's product, think about this, because this is going to be how your clients think. If you recommend a product or a solution to a client today, the success or failure of that product will be a true reflection of your performance in the future. The bottom line is we want to make sure that we're selling the right product with the right company and that you can help meet and exceed your clients' expectations. So what do clients want for their retirement assets? They want diversification, performance, and guarantees. We believe that the AccuMax can be a part of that solution. It's an FIA solution with better long-term growth potential, 2 new index selections with 6 total crediting strategies, and 0 renewal rate risk. So we have guaranteed renewal rates. I don't know about all of you guys, but I'm sure you, if not yourself, people who have been burned by renewal rates in the past where, you get into a contract, rates are high, that are looking great. Year 2, year 3, Mr. Smith comes to you and says, hey, Phil, what happened to these rates here? We got in here and now all of a sudden they're cut in half. Well, we're here to, help prevent that with the AccuMax. So a brief overview here, the AccuMax is an accumulation-focused fixed index annuity designed to help clients build a more confident retirement with the strength for potential and meaningful growth despite market volatility and low rates, stability of all crediting rates guaranteed for the duration of the withdrawal period, and then flexibility, choice of 7 interest crediting strategies to meet diverse client needs. So the big thing here with the AccuMax 7 is we use 7-year point-to-points, or we have 7-year point-to-points available. Now, the reason that this is a benefit to you and your client is because typically what we're going to see with a traditional FIA is we're going to see rates locked year over year, lock on year 1, lock on year 2, lock on year 3, so on and so forth. Now, with the 7-year participation rates of the AccuMax, what we're able to do is we're able to take full advantage of that entire 7-year term and really take the full scope of it. So we're not, locking in at a low, locking in at a high. We're taking that full 7-year period for the entire duration. Now, we do offer 7 and 1-year strategies. Now, we like to think of 7-year strategies that, set it and forget it, that slow money, CDs, money markets, anything along those lines. And then the 1-year strategies, that's a great option for clients who've been burned in the past, with that renewal rate history. Well, we're able to guarantee the rates for the entire duration of the entire surrender period. So like we said, we have 3 different index options with 3 different crediting methods and then 2 different term rates. So the index options are going to be the S&P, that bellwether index everybody knows and is familiar with, the AI-powered multi-asset index, which is going to take AI technology powered by IBM's Watson, and then that is going to be a global asset index. And then we have the Shiller-Barclays Allocator 6, which is developed by Dr. Robert Shiller, which Athene is actually hosting a webinar on Thursday with Dr. Shiller. It's going to be a great watch. He's going to go through that CAPE ratio. We've seen a lot of people be very happy with the Barclays, with the Shiller indices. So that may be a great watch for you. And then we do have 3 different crediting methods. We have the traditional, point-to-point, 1 and 7-year point-to-points. We have an annual interval sum, which is a really exciting option we're going to cover. And then obviously we have a traditional fixed option as well. So why would you use a 7-year point-to-point over a 1-year? So if we compare here on the left, this is a 7-year point-to-point with a 65% participation rate on the S&P, which is what our current participation rate is on that 7-year strategy for the S&P, compared to a 1-year cap with the S&P with 4.5%, which is a pretty standard cap that we've seen. Now, on average, your client is going to see 38% additional growth, and 95% of the time, or 95% of the scenarios, they're going to have a positive credit. So this is a great advantage right here. So you can see on the left, we're going to average 62% with that 7-year point-to-point, 62% return, and only 24% on the right-hand side with that 1-year cap. So this is giving the clients a much higher possibility, even on average, for a greater return, which is where that slow money comes in, where we can really take full advantage of that 7-year period. We do also have very strong participation rates in this, which is going to bring very strong average illustration rates as well. So as you can see on that S&P 500, we have 60% on the low band of up to 100K and 65 on the high band. Now there's rumors going around that we're going to be increasing that in a time to come here shortly, up to 75%. This is going to make this one of the most competitive RILAs built into the FIA body. So if you're a BD guy and you sell any RILAs, then hey, this is going to be a great alternative for those clients if they want that more downside protection, because this is going to offer a 100% floor with still 65 or higher percent participation rate. And if you're an independent insurance agent and you can't sell a RILA, but you're selling against someone who can, well, now like I said, this is going to offer one of the most competitive RILAs built in an FIA frame. So this is another great thing to watch out for. As you can see, we have really high, really strong participation rates, not only in the S&P, but in that AccuMax as well as the Shiller Cape. And then that interval sum is going to offer a 55% participation rate with a 10% floor, which again, we're going to cover a little bit more. So here is how that annual interval sum goes, because if you're in a 7-year point-to-point, what is everyone's concern? Well, what happens if all of my gains go away in year 7 and the whole thing tanks? Well, that's where this interval sum strategy comes into play. So what we're going to do is we're going to give the client 55%. Now we're just going to run it at 50 for this scenario. But for this example, so the client gets a 4% credit. They're going to get 2% credited to them because obviously that's their participation rate. Same thing here, 24% index change, they're going to get 12. Now in this 3rd year here, you can see that this drops to negative 16%. Now we're going to give that floor of 10. So that's all the negativity the client's going to see there. Again, it's up 30, the client's going to get 15. Down 7, the client's going to take that full 7 because it's still within that floor. And then up 18 and up 8. So what we're going to do is we're going to add all that up and then multiply by the participation rate. That's going to give us the annual credit sum here of 25%. So this is a really great option. We're big on diversification within this product. So, you don't want to put all of your eggs into just the S&P. You'd want to maybe put it in the S&P and the interval sum, or really what we really like to do is diversify between the 4 indices total. And then you can really take full advantage of your client's floor here. So at issue, both 1 and 7-year strategies will be available. Now, if the client goes 100% into the 7-year strategies, obviously they will not be able to change their point-to-point throughout the duration. However, at each anniversary, the client can change between the 1-year strategies if that is what they've selected. And again, those 1-year strategies are guaranteed the entire duration of the surrender period. So this is, again, a really great value to those clients who've been burned before. And you can say, hey, look, Mr. Smith, we can guarantee your funds and we can guarantee the rate of return that you can receive as well. Now, obviously, if we're going to be, doing this with any qualified funds for someone who may have RMDs, we're not going to want to allocate everything into the 7-year strategies, because anything in that 7-year strategy that's removed is not going to get credit. So what we've done is we've actually come up with a calculation on how much to allocate to 1-year strategies if the client is within RMD range and they're looking to put money into this product. So that is just a great piece that we do have available as well. So here's some of the additional features on this. We have 10% free withdrawals that are going to be similar to the agility, where it's going to be the 10% of the accumulated value or 10% of the initial premium, whichever is greater. Meaning if your client were to put in $100,000, they can pull out up to $10,000 annually. The death benefit is going to be the full annuities, greater the annuity's full interim value or the minimum guaranteed contract value. And we do also have the confinement and terminal illness waivers. Now let's take a look at that interim value. So the interim value is going to reflect the prorated cumulative performance of index trading strategies during the current index term. Now, basically what this means is this is just going to kind of show how this is performing day over day, year over year, et cetera, because we're not going to see that final credit until the end of the 7-year period. So we're going to offer this as a way to kind of track it and see where it is. And this is also going to be what we're using as that death benefit. So for this example, the S&P increased by 44.65%, from 1/1/14 to 1/1/18. So 4 years into that 7-year term results in a prorated factor of 4 out of 7, which is going to be applied to determine the interim value. So we're going to take that gain of 44.5%, multiply it by the participation rate of 50%, multiply it by the pro rata factor or the interim value factor, and then that's going to be a 12.76% increase to the account value, which will then be credited to the death benefit after that 4-year period. So that's going to be what we're going to use to calculate that death benefit. Now, again, I did want to take a look back here at our participation rates and the performance of these indices. You can see that on average, we're seeing 6, 13.5 on the AMAX, just under 10 on the Shiller. Now, if we look at the worst, again, on the AMAX, we're seeing 10, 7.5. And then on these 1 years, 4.5, 3.2. This is a really strong product, whether it be for, that long 7-year period, that slow money like we discussed, CDs, money markets, et cetera. Or this is also great to use for a traditional FIA with these 1-year strategies that are able to give your clients guaranteed renewal rates, or they know exactly what the participation rate is going to be year over year. Now, this is available in 49 of 50 states. So once again, our friend in New York is unable to purchase this. Issues through age 70, or I'm sorry, issues through age 83 with a minimum premium of 10,000, and it says a maximum of 1,000. We will actually accept larger amounts than that. They will be accepted based on company approval, but we can typically approve up to $2 million without any issue, and anything beyond that, we do need special review. Now, this is done on a sweep date basis. So basically the initial fix or index term period will start on the 8th or the 22nd day. And let's cover how that works right here. So any funds that come in day 1 through 7, they have a sweep date of the 8th, and that is the day that we issue. And then same thing, the 9th to the 21st, there's a sweep date of the 22nd, and then that is the day that we issue. So we hold all those funds because on these longer period terms, what we're wanting to do is we want to be able to get the most amount of money to issue at the same time, makes buying our options more affordable, which means we're able to offer higher participation rates. So it's all about option pricing here, which is why we use the sweep dates. We do also have some really great sales material here as well. So the AccuMax versus a fixed rate strategy, because it's a great alternative to a fixed rate. AccuMax versus a traditional FIA. Benefits of custom indices, annualized performance returns, annual interval, annual sum strategy. So, the good way to help you break that down to your clients so they can understand it as well. So just remember, guys, with the AccuMax 7, there's no more upset client calls because your clients are getting the rates that they've been promised to get the entire duration of the contract. And one thing, I know I didn't touch on this, and I know Glenn did, but at the end of the 7-year period, what we do is we push everything into a fixed bucket. Now, what that means is at the end of that 7-year period, we're guaranteed to sell because that fixed bucket is sitting at 25 basis points currently. And I don't believe that's going to change anytime soon here. So that means at the end of that 7-year period, if the funds are not moved, the client's funds are sitting there earning next to nothing. And I know I wouldn't want my client's funds sitting there. I'm certain you wouldn't want your client's funds sitting there. So it's a way for you to continue to make those sales every 7 years very easily. So don't be a zero, be a hero, get more referrals. So what's in it for the client? They get what they're looking for: diversification, performance, guarantees, no more bait and switch with rates, and a great advisor experience. For you, it's going to make your life easier. You can meet and exceed your customers' expectations, opportunity for additional assets, more referrals, no more tough client calls. And really, what we see this used most commonly is as a split ticket opportunity. So for better diversification, like we said, it's one of the client's goals there. They want that more diversification. You put half of your funds into the AccuMax, the other half into the Performance Elite, the BCA, or if you're a BD, the accumulator. And then, you've got the long-term money, and then you have the money that can credit annually or biannually. Take advantage of our efficient frontier research on those traditional FIAs. And more importantly, where else can you get the S&P with 50% uncapped participation on the interim value, 65% on the traditional 7-year, with it potentially going up to 75% in the near future? So I just want to say thank you. At this point, I'm going to hand it back over to Glenn. If anyone has any questions, I'm going to assume that Glenn has them.
Thanks so much, Alex. Great stuff, man. Appreciate it. And we don't have any questions or anything in the chat at this point. If you do, go ahead and shoot it at me, and we'll take a look and answer the question. But in the meantime, Phil, I was just wondering, outside of maybe selling me one of these on the phone call here, what do you think? Have you got anything you want to add about the product?
Well, as Alex said, where can you buy an indexed annuity with 75% participation in the S&P, guaranteed for the 7-year period, no fees and no downside risk? I've never heard of that in the marketplace in all of the years I've been in the business, especially since 2000. It's a great opportunity to take some of that money off the table and use it as a accumulation strategy for the next 7 years. The chances of the S&P being positive over a 7-year period are over 70%. So it's a great opportunity to really boost a person's growth and not take any risk with it. So that's pretty exciting to be able to do that. And then at the end of 7 years, there's pretty much another automatic sale there. So good stuff.
Thank you,
So Glenn, are you ready? You ready to buy?
Well, I want to see that box of chocolates first.
All right. All right.
Yeah, let's talk.
It's in the mail.
Hey, well, everybody, thanks for coming. I don't see any questions, but if you do have any questions, if you want to reach out to Phil, if you want to reach out to Alex, or if you just want to call us at DMI and get one of our VPs that specializes in annuities, our phone number is 800-322-6342.